Hi, good morning. I want to review another tarot deck. This time it is the UFO Tarot. This deck is published by Los Correbo, and I have a bit of mixed feelings about it. From the way it looks in the package, you would think it is more of that it has a more of a spiritual, and that it's more along the lines of the seeing UFOs and aliens in a spiritual context, but really it's more a mix of horror and science fiction with a little bit of spiritual parts mixed in, and I don't necessarily think that's a good combination. So yeah, I think they should have stuck to one or the other of those styles, because when they're mixed they sort of, yeah. I think a lot of people who buy this deck expect to find a more spiritual bent deck instead of a more science fiction one, and might be very disappointed because of that. Let me just place the cards out there so I can show you the little booklet that it comes with. It's one of those typical little white books. It is fairly thick cover, and it gives the typical ideas of the various cards, and it is in several languages. Which languages is it in? I think it is 3 different languages. Yeah, I'm not sure, but anyway, it begins with the Brothers of the Cosmos, and I can read it. So here too you have the idea that this would be one of those more spiritual concept when it is about UFOs, and it's not, because here you have cards showing people being cut up open, killed, shot with ray guns, and so on. And I am not saying the more religious aspects of UFOs and alien abduction can't be gruesome, but let me show some cards. Some are very spiritual, like for example this. It's a pretty good full card. The Magician too, pretty good. You have a little grey with the typical cards there, and I think this is one of the better cards in the deck, because it takes the typical rider white symbolism, but it nicely places them in the alien context. So let me find some other ones. And here you have another one. We are still on the spiritual, the New Age UFO vibe here, with a mural with the from the that gives off that ancient astronaut vibe. But we are not done yet, of course. And then we have aliens with ray guns wears cups. And we have science fiction looking spaceships. And we have something straight out of Star Trek. So, and we have this, who seems to belong in some 1970s science fiction movie, and not the most well-produced one of that. And I love um, the more trashy science fictions from the 70s and before that too. And I like me a good horror, and I have horror themed decks. My problem with UFO Tarot is that it mixes this, where mixing doesn't really work. Because some people have the more um, aliens are divine messengers. They are here to educate us, and they have a very spiritual view about it, and they are definitely not going to like this. Well, if it has too many of those more spiritual cards to satisfy someone who is after a science fiction deck. So it's sort of, by making it some half and half, doesn't really please anyone. And here we have a goodie. Alien invasion. Yes, the church. I mean, who doesn't look at this and think that would be an awesome movie poster? Oh, and we have, of course, the devil cards, where we have a strange-looking alien about to cut a couple open. Now, can you imagine that you bought this deck because you have that idea of aliens being good, kind creatures who are more like, you have a more angel-like idea of them. They're here to educate us and being kind and nice. And when they kidnap people, it is to impact greater knowledge, and so on. And then in a reading, this turns up. Yeah, it might not fit. Aliens versus the space program. And that lady looking at that little snake in the water, I assume going to have glowing eyes. And if you had seen Stargate, you would understand exactly what I'm talking about. Now this one is nice. And of course you have to have some crop circles, and we are back to the more spiritual cards of aliens being light and love. It's a beautiful card, but yeah, you get the point. It's now on the good part of this deck, it is beautifully designed. The cards look very good, and they are well drawn, and I can't really complain about anything about that. And but I, like I said, which I've not probably talked to death, they should have gone with one or the other, not just thrown everything UFO into it. Either make a deck which is very spiritual, aliens as bringers of light and hope, or do a science fiction deck with a more, and you can do that dark or you can do it light, that doesn't really matter. Either do it the more new agey way or aside the science fiction way, because mixing them like this, it just doesn't work. Another problem is that I'm not sure I necessarily feel that every card has gotten the symbolism very good. Like here you have the spaceships, which of course is discs. So you have one UFO as the Ace of Pentacles, that's fine. Then you have this, that's Two of Pentacles. And this as Three of Pentacles. But to me it almost feels like they had 2 or 3 different artists on this, and those artists didn't really cooperate very well. Now, do I recommend this deck? No, I don't. The only way I could recommend this deck is for tarot deck collectors who might like it as a novelty deck. For that, it is nice. But it's neither enough science fiction elements to satisfy people who want it for their science fiction collection, and it has too many quite frankly dark and disturbing cards for those that have a more new agey view of aliens. So this deck is sort of a victim of trying to do too much all at once and not really succeeding at any of it. But credit where credit's due, the deck is very pretty. The card stock is mid-range. It's a bit soft. It doesn't feel laminated, but the printing is well done, and it's not so flimsy as to break just as you look at it, like some decks are. So yeah, it's an okay production value. The imagery on it is quite nice. If you look at it just from art point of view, but does it work as a tarot deck? No, it doesn't. But you can work with it and find a way to do divinations with it, but I don't recommend it. And I definitely don't recommend it if you have been looking at this because you feel a connection with UFOs and you have the more new agey ideas of aliens and such. If you have a more conspiracy theory and the aliens are bad guys and are going to anal probe us all, then this might be what you want. So yeah, I'm not gonna give this deck any star rating. I'm going to rather say that this will get 4 anal probes out of 10. Well, that was my review of UFO Tarot. Might be okay for collectors, but otherwise stay away from it. Well, have a great day and blessed be.